This is the One Girl Revolution podcast, a podcast that highlights the stories of world-changing women and girls across the country. We hope that these stories inspire you, but even more so, we hope that these stories help you to see your own value, your purpose, and your power to change the world through your life. Every woman and girl is a One Girl Revolution. Welcome to the One Girl Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Kate Milligan. I am so excited to be back here for another season of the One Girl Revolution podcast, and we have so many exciting things planned for you in 2025 and beyond. 2024 was a year of growth, empowerment, and connection. We've had the honor of sharing so many inspiring stories of women who are changing the world through their lives every single day. And this year, 2025, is especially meaningful as we celebrate the 6th anniversary of One Girl Revolution. That's 6 years of elevating voices, sharing stories, and empowering women and girls. It's been an incredible journey, and all thanks to you, our amazing listeners and supporters. Thank you for believing in this dream, and thank you for being a part of the revolution. We have so much to look forward to in 2025. We are more committed than ever to amplifying stories that inspire and ignite change. This year holds so much promise, and we're already working on some really exciting projects that we can't wait to share with you. We believe in the power of one girl, one woman, one person to change the world, and we're thrilled to continue this mission with your love and support. If you've been inspired by the stories we've shared and the work we're doing, we would be so grateful if you consider supporting us as we head into this new year, this new season. To mark our 6th anniversary, we're asking for a simple but impactful commitment, a $6 a month donation. Just $6 a month can help us continue our world-changing work, empowering women and girls, elevating their voices and their stories, and sharing their incredible and inspiring initiatives. You can make a donation today at onegirlrevolution.com/donate. That's the number onegirlrevolution.com/donate. Every dollar truly makes a difference, and we're so thankful for your love and support. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, let's dive into this week's episode. We took a couple of weeks off to get our heads around the new season and all the great things that we have planned, and I am so excited to be back here and to share another inspiring story with you. We are back here to feature another extraordinary woman who is changing the world in her own unique way. I'm so thrilled to introduce you to Elizabeth Freeman, the founder of the Elmwood Blessing Box. Elizabeth's story is nothing short of inspiring. She has faced and overcome so many challenges throughout her life, including experiencing poverty and battling addiction. But through her strength, determination, and love, Elizabeth has not only turned her life around, but is now dedicating her life and her being to helping others. The Elmwood Blessing Box is more than just a box for food and essential items. It's a beacon of hope and a symbol of community. Elizabeth has created a space where people from all walks of life can find support, encouragement, and a sense of belonging. Her work is a testament to the fact that no matter where you come from or what you've been through, you can make a difference and change the world around you. Elizabeth's story will move you, inspire you, and remind you of the power of compassion and community. So listen to this incredible conversation that I know you will not want to miss. Thank you again for being a part of this journey with us. Thank you for being a part of One Girl Revolution. And without further ado, here is my beautiful conversation with Elizabeth. Elizabeth, welcome to the One Girl Revolution podcast.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so excited to have you on. I got to actually come and see your work with my very own eyes a couple of weeks ago and just was so blown away about what you're doing with the Elmwood Blessing Box. And I can't wait to hear the whole story about how it came to be and all of the great work that you're doing. But before we get into that, I would love to rewind. This podcast is all about women's stories. And I love the evolution of the person, the things in our own lives, maybe that kind of lead us on the way to the path to doing what we're doing now. And like what you're doing now is so incredible with the Elmwood Blessing Box. So I would love to rewind and just hear a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and just share a little bit with our listeners about your life.
Okay, absolutely. So, my name's Elizabeth Freeman. I am 32 years old. I've kind of been all over the place, honestly. I was born in Detroit and grew up with my mom and my dad. My parents got divorced when I was a teen, so we kind of swapped around. I was between Livonia and Novi. I have two beautiful daughters. They're amazing. They are teenage girls now, and they're crazy and drive me nuts. But they're they're teenagers. I'll get through it. And I also have my husband Vince, who helps us with everything we're running. But I guess to start, like I grew up in a really great family. Like my parents are great. My mom has always been super supportive. Me and my dad have butted heads, but he's changed a lot in the past couple of years, and he's just been really supportive and great. But in my teenage years, I struggled a lot with mental health issues, with addiction. At 17, I got pregnant with my first daughter, and I got sober. And 16 years in September, I will be off of hard drugs, which has been a true blessing. And I quickly had my second daughter, and they're close in age and crazy. But when my kids were little, I struggled a lot. Me and their dad were not on great terms. We kind of went back and forth. We jumped around. We utilized food pantries. We utilized a lot of community resources and stuff like that. And seeing the way that community resources were ran, me and my mom would always joke how we were going to start a food pantry, how we would help so many people if we ever won the lottery. So all we needed to do was win the lottery, and we could help so many people. And I met my husband, and my life got on track. I kind of stabilized. We bought our house, and about a year and a half to 2 years after we bought our house, I decided that I wanted to do that food pantry. We started with what we thought was just going to feed some of our neighbors. It was a box that they could utilize just as they needed. It was just a little tiny box that we put food in. And other community members kind of started getting on board and providing food. And we went from just a little tiny box to we have, you saw it, a bunch of boxes filled with a bunch of stuff. And we service up to 150 families per day at our Garden City location. We opened a second location in New Boston, and they are doing great. And we're just kind of doing it.
This is what I want people to think about or envision is it's not just a box. I feel like your entire house, your entire life is dedicated to serving those in your community. And I'm grateful that you shared your own story, because I think there are different things in our life where it's like these little moments in our own life, whether it's struggle or something we've gone through or something we're going through, that those can almost be the thing that light a path for us to use our own story and our own experiences to help other people. And so I think it's so powerful that you've been there, right? Like you've been where these people are that you're helping. And a lot of times we talk ourselves out of doing good because it's like, oh yeah, I got to win the lottery and then I'll do all this good work. And you guys were like, yeah, so we have this house, we have this yard, let's put a box and then we'll start filling it. And now you're serving 150, at least 150 people every day. It's incredible. And just being able to see your house and what's going on there. And I can't wait to check out the new Boston location as well, because to me, it was like not just a blessing box. It is a blessing box, but also it's a community space where it's like whatever people need. And I've been following your social media and seeing the different things that you posted over Christmas, where it was like trying to help grant Christmas wishes, right? If somebody needed something or wanted something, like what can we all do in the community? And you're bringing people together to support those in need, which is just incredible. So you started with this like little idea of like, hey, we're going to start this box, and then it's grown and evolved. Can you talk about that? Like, was it little by little? Was it like the need was so great that you were like, all right, we have to be doing more? How did it go from that box, the
So,
blessing box, to what it is now?
um, so once we started, it kind of took on a life of its own. Like once community members got involved, it just kind of kept growing. And it wasn't so much us. We have always said that we provided the space for it, but we are not the reason it has thrived the way it did. It was the safe space that we provided for the community to come together. And again, the community just kind of made that all flourish into what it is today. The more people that would come and donate, the more people that would come and utilize, it's pretty much always been so hand in hand. So the more people we would get, the more donations we would get, the more food we would get, the more businesses would connect with us. And so it all has evened out. And it's more of a community effort. It's not so much a one person thing or a one family thing. It has been the community being able to come together again. And that's something that COVID took a lot out of us. We weren't neighborly anymore. We weren't talking to our neighbors. We weren't talking to other community members because there was just so much going on in the world, and not just COVID, but everything else was pulling people apart. And I wanted to see it come back together.
Well, you are an example of that, and you're doing it. And I think for all of us, we can all do something. That's what we talk about a lot on this podcast, where it's like, it doesn't have to be, we don't necessarily have to start a business or a nonprofit organization. We can all do something. And I love that you brought up COVID, because to me, it's like we need to open our eyes to people in our own communities that are struggling, right? Whether it's an elderly person in our neighborhood, or maybe you haven't seen one of your neighbors out and about in a little while, and just checking on them, just doing how we used to do in the olden days, where it was like we knew our neighbors, we knew what was going on with them, what they were suffering with, how we could help. We'd make meals for people, and we need to get back to that. And you're really doing that through the great work that you're doing. Love the One Girl Revolution podcast? Help us amplify these incredible stories by leaving a review. Your review helps more people discover the podcast, and don't forget to share your favorite episodes with your friends and family. Together, we can inspire the world one story at a time. Can you talk, Elizabeth, about the people that you're serving? Because I think in these kind of situations, sometimes people might see the blessing box and be like, oh, that's only for people that are living in poverty, right? But I know that you're working with so many people. Maybe they just had a bad week, right? Or maybe they're just waiting for their check to come in. Can you talk about the people that you serve?
So we literally serve everybody. We do not restrict you for income, for where you live. Like, we don't restrict you for anything. So our big thing when we first started the Blessing Box was that we would always be judgment free. Like, it didn't matter if you were coming because you needed food, or if you were coming because you just couldn't physically or mentally deal with going to the store that day. It was really more about just making people more comfortable being able to access help. It was something that they didn't have to ask for. It was something that they could do and keep their pride intact, and they didn't have to feel like people were judging them or that they were being looked down upon. It was something that they could do discreetly. And it was, if you're having a bad mental health day and you just need a can of soup, come grab it. If you just really can't bring yourself to buy a $5 loaf of bread and we have it, please come get it, because I hate spending that much money on bread. So it's for everybody. We see people in all walks of life, and we have had people that have judged some of our members because of, oh, the vehicle you drive, oh, the clothes you're wearing. But that's not what this is about. This is a community pantry that we are all trying to build together. We're trying to build a community. We're trying to make lives easier. It's not so much that you have to be in poverty or you have to have empty pantries to come. It's if you're just having a bad day, please come. If this will make your life easier in any way, shape, or form, if you follow the rules, we have absolutely no problem with you coming.
How do people get connected with you, or how do they hear about, maybe it's through the grapevine, maybe it's through a whole different slew of ways, but how do people find out about the work that you're doing, and how do they end up coming to the Blessing Box?
So a lot of it is through our Facebook page, but a lot of it is like word of mouth. We've had people that have come like, hey, I called 211 and they told me that you were here. And I was like, I didn't even know 211 knew who we were. Or like Wayne Metro, or I went to see my therapist and I was really having a hard week and she told me to connect. It's been so many different outlets. It's nurses that are working in pediatrics that are telling families, hey, she might have formula. If we don't have it, message her. It's therapists that are reaching out to us like, hey, I have a client. She's not mobile, but could I pick up a box of food for her and bring it to the office for her next meeting? It's kind of everywhere and it's been wild.
Well, and people looking out for one another, right? Where it's like, hey, this might be a good resource for you. Or you brought up formula. I know so many families like struggle with that, from one paycheck to another, that they don't have money for diapers or formula. And I know you, and I know your Facebook page where you're also so resourceful. It's like, if you don't have it, somebody in your community, it will come forward and support one another. And that has been such a cool thing for me to see, where it's like those calls to action, where it's like, hey, we just had somebody call or show up and needs this. And everybody pools their resources and figures out like, okay, what do we do? Like, I can buy formula for somebody, or I can do this, or I can do that. And that's so incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Elizabeth, I know that there are so many stories, and I hope one day you'll write a book about all of the different people that you've encountered through the work that you're doing. But is there a story or two of people that have been helped through the Blessing Box that you feel like really, really paints the powerful picture of the work that you're doing that you could share?
Yeah, absolutely. So we started in June of 2023, and we were still little come like the end of 2023. But on New Year's Day, I had a mom reach out to me. She was sitting at the police department in her car crying with her two children. And she said she went into the police department, told them that her home was no longer safe. And they kind of told her, well, we don't have resources for that. So I'm not sure what you want us to do. And she walked away feeling really defeated and didn't know where to go or who to connect with. So she reached out to us. And we still had a living room at that point. We no longer have a living room. But I had her come here. I drove there to make sure she could get safely to my house, which is only right down the street. But I wanted to make sure she was okay. I got her and the kids back here. My daughters both watched her kids, and I brought her into the garage, and me and my husband immediately started working on making phone calls, connecting her with people. And we made a Facebook post letting people know, like, hey, we have this mom who can't go home. It's not safe for her kids. And within an hour, we had a week in a hotel room fully funded for her. We had food for her. People were making donations for formula, for milk, like whatever she needed within the hour. And this is when we were still really little. But we got her connected with the resources and just kind of motivated her to help herself. We gave her every outlet that we could find that she could use. And by, I want to say like June or July, she was in housing. She had used those resources. She had gotten her and her kids into housing, and she's doing good.
That's amazing. And just we can all do something. And in those types of situations, we all know those stories where someone is stuck. They don't feel like they have any other way. They just stay there. And a lot of times there are women that are in unsafe situations. We've had so many incredible women on this podcast. The first, as you were telling that story, the first person that came to mind is this incredible woman, Jojo Dries, who works with survivors and finding places for them to go. A lot of times they just feel like they have nowhere to go and they don't have anyone to ask and they don't even know what to do. So they just feel stuck in the situation. And so I love that you shared that story because it is a community that you've built. It's not just, oh, hey, come to the pantry. It's like, no, we're going to build a support system around you, whatever you need, and walking with people, right, through these different chapters. Like now this woman and her kids like are in a safe place. They're able to get an apartment. And now you probably feel like a proud mama, like watching some of these, like your little chickadees, like going on and just thriving. It's beautiful.
She still brings her kids here. And
That's
I love
awesome.
her daughter comes to see our skeleton all of the time. So yeah, no, it's great seeing some of our families that we watched struggle. We watched in the worst of times and watching them find ways to help themselves to get out of the situation they're in. We are really big on providing the resources and then making sure that they are following up because resources are hard to navigate in the first place. And when you're in a stressful situation, a lot of people tend to shut down. So providing them with the resources is just the first step. Getting them motivated to actually follow through with those resources is what is the most important in these situations. So finding ways to make sure that they are keeping up with that and getting themselves out of the situation that they're in has been it's great watching it all come to be.
One Girl Revolution is celebrating 6 incredible years of sharing the stories of world-changing women and girls. You can be a part of the revolution by donating just $6 a month. Together, we'll amplify the voices and stories of more women and girls, spark change, and inspire the world. Join the movement, make an impact, and celebrate this milestone with us. Visit onegirlrevolution.com/donate to give today. That's the number onegirlrevolution.com/donate, and please give today because empowered women empower women. You have done so much in such a short period of time, and I can't wait to see where the Elmwood Blessing Box goes from here. Where do you hope that it goes from here? You have 2 locations. I think that it's something that's needed and necessary literally everywhere, and probably you could franchise or whatever you would call it and have them all over the US. But where do you hope that the Elmwood Blessing Box goes from here?
So when we kind of started becoming bigger than the little box that we thought we would always be, we started game planning. Like we made a 5-year plan. And our first step was a mobile pantry, which we put the deposit down, and the mobile pantry is currently in the process of being built. So what that will do is that will help us get to people that are either unhoused or are homebound. So if they are not able to get to us, we will be able to bring the meals to them. We'd set up like around their neighborhood. They could come, they'd get a box of food just like they would here, a 2-day supply. And then we would have extra stuff in the mobile pantry that they could pick from as well. And their whole community will be able to shop. So that should be done the end of January. We're hoping it's in the build. So we're hoping. And then our 5-year plan is really having a building. I want to be able to sit down with these people and to work with them on providing the resources that we do have, being able to walk them through step by step. Okay, you were evicted. We're going to contact this person, this person, this person. We're going to sit down with you while you get all of the steps in place. And I want to be able to do that. And I can't do that from my home.
Well, I think the work that you're doing is so critical and so needed. And I know that everybody who's listening they're going to want to get involved. They're going to want to support the work that you're doing. But also, you're such a great reminder that we can all do something, right? In our own communities, you don't necessarily have to put a box in your front yard. You can if you want. But also, we can all do something where it's opening our eyes to those around us who might be struggling or might just, even like you talked about earlier, somebody that might just be having a bad day and needs some chicken soup or needs some cookies or a donut. Like we can all do something and say, you know what? I, miss you. I haven't seen you in a while. And I just thought that I would bake you these cookies or, we can all do little things. And I try to remind myself of that every single day, Elizabeth. And, your example to me is just so powerful and so inspiring because I'm like, all right, cool. I can do more. We can all do more to be helping our community. And you're doing that. For people that are listening, how do they get involved in the work that you're doing and how can they support it?
So we don't have very many volunteer opportunities right now, specifically at Elmwood Blessing Box, because it's all home based. And I have a big 200-pound dog who is a COVID baby who did not learn that, new people are okay. But we always accept donations from our Amazon wish list. We connect with local businesses. Like right now, we work with a tavern. It's called the Local Tavern over in Canton. And every Sunday they have a brunch. And after their brunch is over, they package all the food up and give it to us to repackage. So we distribute brunch on Sundays to community members in need. We get donations from local businesses. Our local pizza places will call us if an order wasn't picked up. If it's a large order, they'll call us and be like, hey, I have 6 pizzas. They didn't come get it. Can you come get it and give it to your members? So connecting with local businesses to help stop food waste or at least limit food waste. We'd love to do more of that. We also accept monetary donations, but we're really big on getting actual goods. We'd rather have the food. We'd rather have the essential items. So our Amazon wish list is really the best option.
Sweet. Well, I will put your Amazon wish list in our show notes and also direct people to your website because going through your website was just so beautiful to me because you talk about all the different types of items that you need for people. And I was like, oh, yeah, like women's items or baby diapers or like all these normal things that everybody, every day, everybody needs, essentials. And you're providing those for people just as much as you are ketchup and mustard and all the things, and we can all do something. What's that?
Yeah. Spices and condiments are a really big one. I went to Walmart the other day and they had in their clearance section, they had a marked for $1. And I went up to a worker and was like, I run a food pantry. She was like, how does 50 cents a piece sound? And I was like, absolutely. Just because we don't get spices, the condiments, we have a ton of ketchup and mustard right now.
Because I helped deliver it with Jennifer.
It's the things that you don't really think about as so much of a necessity. It's sugar, it's cream, it's coffee. Those are things that you don't see as much at food pantries.
Mm-hmm. Well, we can all do something. And like I said, I will encourage everybody to go to your Amazon wish list and just buy a couple of items off of there. I know that we're all going on Amazon. And so it's the least we can do is just add a couple of items from your pantry. And no matter where you are in the US, we can all do it. You can support this great work. And so I encourage everybody to do that. I will put that in the show notes and continue to follow everything that you're doing. Elizabeth, I'm always curious, and maybe your story is a piece of this, and maybe what you've experienced is a piece of this. But if you could get to the very root of why you do what you do every single day, why you're so passionate about helping other people, why you're so passionate about the blessing box, what would you say that root is?
It has a lot to do with the situation that I was in and just realizing how some food pantries were ran and they didn't really provide you with what you needed so much as what they were just kind of handing off. It's also how rude some of them were. Going in there, you already were not thrilled about having to utilize this food pantry. And then you go in and you have a rude staff member, you have a rude volunteer, and it just makes you feel so defeated. Or having to take time off work. You can't get to a food pantry when you're working a 9 to 5, even though you're still struggling. They expect you to stand in line for 3 hours from 11 until 2, and you have to either choose to have food in your house or to miss out on money, and there's no in between. So being able to provide a safe place to get food at any point in time at your convenience, and it's food items that you're actually going to use, was something that I really felt was needed.
And it is so needed. And I can't wait to see where you go from here. I can't wait to see the mobile, see you go mobile and see how that all plays out. And one thing I want to say too is people that are listening, if they want to support that new effort that you're going to be launching, that's another way that I'm sure you need financial support for that. So if companies that are out there, businesses want to get involved, that's also a really great way for people to do that. Or take that Amazon wish list and get a few of your friends together and do. I know there are like diaper drives and all kinds of things like that, but get your ladies book club to all buy things off of that Amazon wish list. And you need stuff throughout the year. I think a lot of times in winter time, and then at Christmas time, we're thinking about, oh, maybe like people might need these things, but you're serving people all throughout the year, every single day. And so I just want to encourage everybody to get involved, and we can all do something. Elizabeth, you are such a beacon of light. You are a one girl revolution. And that's why I wanted to have you on this podcast to share your story and how you're changing the world every single day. But I'm so curious, who is a one girl revolution in your life? Who is a woman or girl that inspires you?
I have my mom sitting right next to me. And my mom has always, since the very beginning, even through my addiction, even through my terrible teenage years, my mom always supported me. Her and my grandma, they pushed me to do what I knew I could do. They pushed me, even when I thought I couldn't do something, they pushed me to do it. So it's my mom and my grandma.
Well, I know that your mama, since she's sitting right there, I know she's so proud of you, and it's just got to be so amazing for her to see you just flourish and continue to help so many people through the work that you're doing. And like I said, you are such an inspiration. Before I let you go, Elizabeth, I always end this podcast on one question. So I'd like to ask you, if you could leave women and girls around the world with one message, what would it be?
To speak up, to use your voice all of the time. Because if you just shut out what they are saying, if you aren't using your voice, nobody is ever going to know your story.
Well, Elizabeth, you are such a beacon of light, such an example to all of us. Thank you so much for being on the One Girl Revolution podcast, and thank you for all the incredible work that you do.
Thank you.
For more from One Girl Revolution, to listen to all of our podcast episodes, watch our Emmy-nominated documentary series, follow us on social media, donate to our nonprofit organization, and more, please visit onegirlrevolution.com. That's the number onegirlrevolution.com.